what we'll do, we're simulating not all the teams here, but I'll explain section by section how we go through our huddle, and then you'll get to see and demo what actually gets discussed or brought up through the huddle process. Okay? The first agenda item, if you like, is we start off with firm wins or individual wins or recognition of team members, because recognition is a very important part of who we are as an organisation, as well as anyone who's displayed some core values, so if you want to recognise that in this process. Okay. So I'll kick it off. Obviously, the firm win is getting the All-Star Award. Looking at the September scoreboard, we actually beat the number we forecasted, which is fantastic, and we've just come off the back of a successful vacation recruiting period where 3 out of 4 people accepted our offer, which is phenomenal. So that's the other firm win for the week. My individual win was getting baby number 2 home, and I managed to get 4 hours sleep last night. So that's a win. And recognition to Steve for the core value of quality. The job you did on the FAS activity statement audit, the client was a phenomenal.
So my individual win was obviously that FAS audit and dealing with those issues, and my recognition goes to you, Adam, for being available while on leave and pushing a swing with the other side.
The next section is to talk to the scoreboard, to look at our forecasting numbers. To explain what our scorecard means, this number here, the plan is the chargeable hours expectation in the month, okay, for that individual. The next column is where they're forecasting to be, whether above or below, so that's a variance column. What they actually achieved this week in a chargeable hours sense, in a up or down sense of their expectation. The adjustments column, so quite often of the time we charge to a client, not all of it is billable. So we would nominate those adjustments at that point in time too, and see what we can learn from those adjustments. And then the month to date, how we're traveling, okay, at an individual level behind that. So that's the first section, the individual critical number, if you like, or subcritical number that team members can influence. Okay. So how this one works, so we go top to bottom, and we have each individual comment and make commitments around that particular number. Okay. So I'll kick it off. So my plan is 67.5. I'm forecasting behind 7.5 for this month. Reason being, I've committed 2 days to the gathering, and I'm also going to have a lot of follow-up from implementing that, so it doesn't get away. That said, I've come back from parental leave. We've got a bit of a backlog of client work, so that's probably conservative. But I'll know more next week once I digest that. Angela.
So my plan for the month is 120, forecasting 6 hours behind, primarily due to the date here. Also expecting a bit of training time later in the month, and taking a bit of flexi during the month as well. However, I've got a fair bit of chargeable hours lined up, so expecting it to land out there.
Great.
And just a bit ahead for the
Steve?
Yep, so my plan's 134. It should have been 140, but I had a day off on Friday for annual leave, so that's why it's showing as 134. Down 12 hours for 2 days at the seminar, one from yesterday, and I've got another seminar next week. I was up for the week by about 2 hours.
What we then look at as well, what effect does that then, those numbers that have been forecasted out, have for us as a firm? And we're seeking to then drill down to our critical number, what the outcome is this week for the critical number. Okay. So based off the forecasts that have been thrown out, we have a planned revenue of 208,000 this month, with forecasting to hit 204,000. So why? Well, a lot of that is to do with the time and investment we're putting into this. Obviously, in other months, we're not going to have such a thing, so we'll be able to exceed plans. So it's not the greatest month to be demoing in terms of where we're at, but nonetheless, that's where we sit the $4 grand behind where we ideally should be before October. The next element, as I mentioned, is we've introduced cost forecasting. So what we look to do here works on a similar basis. What's the budgeted cost for the month? And what's the forecast by the team who own that line item for the month? Red and green is used throughout this, and we've gathered red we're behind, green we're up. So we only talk to those where we're red or green, so we can understand what it is. If it's on budget, we don't put any time into it, okay? Because costs aren't a massive thing. But that said, we don't want to lose sight of those as well. And Tree?
My line item is OBM costs, and that involves time for seminars and Adam going down to Sydney, and also mini games and prizes in the mini games. We're down this month, so ahead of budget. That's mainly attributed to this conference being in Brisbane this year, so we're saving on travel and accommodation expenses.
Great. So where that leaves us, critical number wise, critical number is profit. We've got a plan of 79 for the month of October. We are forecasting to hit 76. Okay. So not a massive, we're not massively behind. But generally speaking, then what we would do off the back of that is call for any suggestions to close that gap. Okay. Next section, which is to look at our profit share position. So weekly the team knows profit share wise where they sit. Okay. So based off the 76 profit, our turnover, our base is 41. That's 20% of the turnover. That means 35 grand is the excess. 1/3 of that goes into our profit share pool. So the pool balance at the moment is 11,400. You'll see there was nothing in the pool for the first quarter, and that's expected for us, given there's a time delay between financial year end 30 June and when we can get a lot of activity happening throughout the organisation, predominantly our compliance and preparation of financial tax returns for businesses. Okay. It's not something that we're happy to accept, and we're constantly thinking of, well, what initiatives should we drive our clients in those quiet months, June, July? We have a general ledger initiative running at the moment where if we spot opportunities to help clients, then is that something in June, July, or the quiet time, can we run our clients to help them simplify it? So by having that very visual and you can see we're behind, it creates that conversation, which is what this whole process is about. Next thing the next section of our huddle is to give an update on the strategic focus areas for us as a business. So that's around creating value for clients. We want to share the value that we've created. What relationship building activities have we conducted with clients, the general reviews, the general ledger reviews, the IT initiatives that we're helping clients with, the coaching and development of the team, so any improvements in that space that are working, and in an open book management sense, our culture committee, what are some things that they can take away. So that are our focus areas, strategic focus areas. And that all stems off, our action board. Okay, so this is on the wall as well, and we fill that out and tick it off as we go. So updates on the strategic action areas, anything to be shared. From a value created point of view, we're able to help a client get a payment to them of $900,000 on a capital account, which means it's going to be tax-free. So I'll take that to training and explain how that happened. So Trudy, can you just make a note of that to make sure I do that? Take that to training. So that we fleshed out a few actions, then we would ordinarily go through. We split our action board into what are the strategic actions, so we don't lose sight of that. Quite often you go away to your planning session, have the big plan, and then people forget about the actions or forget about the fact that we're making progress towards those. So we've carved up and prioritised what are the actions for this period that we want to see happen. And then what are the other actions that have come from our learnings or this sort of forum over the weeks. Okay, so ordinarily we go through and tick off what's been done. So the end of September, has that been done through?
No, I need to shift it to the end of October.
Okay, that's for inviting clients.
Yeah.
So we would rename that. Those 4 steps, if you like, the 5 steps I took you through, there were 6, there were 7, there were 3. It's chopped and changed over that 12 months, and we'll chop and change again as we go forward. Okay. So that's our huddle. It's a little bit clunky, obviously, given we're simulating, but I hope you get the feel for it.